Guess who's back? Back again. President Trump gearing up for his triumphant return to the White House Correspondents' Center tonight, months after a deranged gunman stormed the event, trying to assassinate him and his entire cabinet. And unfortunately, the threat environment is more dangerous than ever. The Secret Service says they've opened up more than 10,000 investigations into threats against protectees this year alone, a 40% increase over last year. But President Trump says the show must go on. Caroline Levitt telling Fox, quote, the president's speech will be a combination of unifying yet vicious and serious yet hilarious all at the same time. If you can imagine that. One thing I can assure you, it will be entertaining. And with all the left-wing wackos out there, you'd think the Dems would finally cool it with the Trump is Hitler comparisons, but no.
What is there to protect our democracy, to make sure that it sustains through the next wannabe king or next wannabe little Hitler?
The president of the United States of America is engaged in ethnic cleansing.
Trump has tried to corrupt everything he touches, and our elections are next.
Donald Trump's going to do everything to try to steal this election.
We have a dictator running this country.
All right, was anybody here for the first White House Correspondents' Dinner? Did anybody go?
Yes.
You did. Oh, Charlie. All right, you're not going tonight.
No, and I'm kind of regretting it.
Because of hilarious and
yes,
vicious.
I want to see it all.
We're glad you're here.
I like salty and sweet.
We're hearing this speech is really vicious and really good.
So the biggest thing that I was really worried about after the first time was it was like, oh my gosh, when we didn't get the speech, will we ever get the speech? Because whatever he was loaded for when he went into the first one was going to be brilliant. It was going to be the best. And so I was really, really worried about it. But it sounds like maybe because it was like a kumbaya session for like 2 weeks after that with the press. And he was being nice about everybody. He was saying nice things about members of the press. I thought it was going to he might flinch. I misjudged the guy. He never flinches. I have faith in him. And this is why, you in D.C., you spend the first 5 years in Washington, D.C. trying to go to White House Correspondents' Dinners. Then you spend the rest of your life trying to never go to another one.
True.
But I really wanted to go to that one because finally Trump was coming back to confront them. And it looks like, I don't know, I think he's gonna flame him.
Jessica, are you expecting a flame job? Do you think he's gonna dial it back?
No, I believe he's emboldened in the last 6 weeks or how long has it been?
It's been 2 months.
2 months.
Plus.
So I don't know. I have heard he was a big fan of the material that he had for round one. So I'm sure some will be recycled, and then I'm sure there will be new hits based on the last few weeks of grave injustices that the press has served him. There is an interesting tension going on, putting aside the threat situation and the Hitler talk. But President Trump has had a contentious relationship with the press since he ran for president the first time, enemy of the people, et cetera. And he has been the quote-unquote most transparent, if you consider that to be the most available, not necessarily in the quality of the availability or the level of honesty in the availability, but he's in front of you. But just this week, the DOJ had to withdraw subpoenas for New York Times journalists' phones, the ones who accurately reported that Qatari Force One was not up to snuff from a national security standpoint. And he has a long record of going after the press and after the First Amendment. So I'm curious as to see whether the press members that are being honored or the head of the White House Correspondents Association will make mention of that unhealthy relationship.
Is he going to just honor Fox reporters?
Maybe.
I think Ducey should get an award. Is Ducey getting an award tonight?
I don't know, but Ducey asked the best question of
diarrhea.
his career today in the Oval Office, the lettuce question. The president seemed like completely stumped. Like Ducey said to him, Mr. President, when are Americans going to be able to eat lettuce again? And the president just looked at him like, who wants to eat lettuce? Like, why are you asking me such a stupid question?
Like he wasn't aware of the dirty lettuce?
No, he was aware of it, but he was like unaware that people wanted to get back to eeating it, is what it looked like.
Do we?
You know?
Yeah.
I like lettuce.
Women like it, Charlie. The Hitler stuff. I mean, what, 6 weeks ago? And now they're back at it, Jillian.
I don't know if it's going to happen or not tonight, but there was this letter circulated over the last week or so that apparently dozens, maybe even hundreds of reporters or just journalists in general have signed on to, calling for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, for the association, to condemn the president's attacks on the First Amendment at the dinner while he's there. So
That's so stupid.
I think if they're doing it, they should open the dinner with that, though, because then it's going to be much more entertaining than any of us are banking on. I mean, to think about the president's comments. Imagine if somebody tries to rebuke him there on the
You know what?
stage.
We just don't want them to shoot him. We expect a rebuke.
The bar is low.
Right. Greg?
Well, that's the kind of stupidity in this whole conversation. We're talking about Trump's vicious material, which are jokes. None of his jokes ever got anybody killed. You know, no one's shooting Rosie O'Donnell because he says she's fat. However, not putting aside the Hitler baby and the ethnic cleansing and fascism and dictator, that did get people shot at. I'm curious, you know, you have both sides can have intense, irrational feelings about politics, but it's one side that is more likely to be violent. The data is there. We know this. And by the way, your eyes see it, how violent and uncivil the left are. You see the protests, the screaming, the unstable behavior, the intolerant reactions to anybody that dare engage them. You know, the only reason why they cling to January 6th is because that's the only protest we've ever had. Good luck finding another. Because
Unite the Right
when was that?
in Charlottesville.
Thank you. SPLC. Good job on that one. Here's the reason.
I forgot it. Yes, there are no neo-Nazis.
So here's the
only
reason,
plants.
okay? The side that is the most violent and irrational is the side that claims to be the most compassionate and caring. How can that be? Because that identity allows them, it gives them the free pass to be violent and uncivil. They feel so deeply about the world and about humanity and what Doge is doing to Nepal that only a moral person would react with rage and violence. But then let's look at the right. You know, they look like they could be violent. They wear a lot of camo. They wear a lot of fleece. They like MMA. They love country music. They have gun racks. They drink beer. But if you get in their face, they usually just laugh at you. Yeah, we think The View sucks and Tim Walz is a sick clown, but we're not going to go after them. We're not going to beat them up. So I guess my point is, you really got to push the right into violence. You know, if in the plot, think about the plot about Gretchen Whitmer that they always bring up. Efforted by multiple undercover agents, 3 informers, 12 operatives who prominently played an active role in the logistics and the training sessions for this kidnapping. You look at, I'm glad you brought up the, whatever that march to whatever in Charlottesville, totally efforted by SPLC. They got engaged. They helped get the transportation there. So we can sit here, we can talk about, oh, everybody else gets threats. Nothing is as substantial and credible as the stuff Trump has gone through. None. So we can still sit here and talk about it's attacks and freedom of speech. Oh, it is mean jokes. Doesn't kill anybody.
Alyssa Hortman, they just
No one
sent it
knows.
to
I waited for that.
Jessica, no one knows who that is. And we actually just
Yes, you
heard the
do.
Secret Service say this is the biggest threat environment in the history of the agency.
Well, at least
more threats
At least you
than
didn't
ever.
say Obama had more
10,000.
threats.
But do
Okay,
conservatives really wear more fleece than liberals?
I think so.
Is that true?
According to my studies at Fleece International University.
Should we ask the brain room?
condemning the finance bros. And people do know who Melissa Hortman is. You just choose not to figure it out.
I know, Jessica.
How is that tied
it's
to
a little
white
different than
extremist
Charlie
groups?
Kirk.
Oh,
How
it
is that
was
tied
tied
to
to
how is that
Vance
tied to
Coulter, the
Trump
Trump
rhetoric?
supporter that
How is that
killed
tied to
her.
Trump rhetoric? Can you make the link? You can't. But we can sit here all day
You
and
can talk about what
read
happened at the Walmart in El Paso. You can talk about what happened in Dayton, Ohio. Like it.
But the other,
don't.
But the other thing is,
Okay, I do, and then you
No,
tell
but
me
you don't
I'm
have.
making it
You
up.
can't trace it back to a
Yes, you can.
source. You can't say
Literally
Trump said
writing
go
in
out.
diaries.
Trump didn't say go out and get in their face.
Pipe bomber.
Although I remember Democrats
Pipe
do
bomber
that
who
quite
said
often.
in court, I was inspired by Donald Trump.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.